Yo, welcome everyone to Weird Growth, the podcast where we hear about the strange and often unpredictable journey that founders take. We are recording live at Westech Fest 2025 in the Ammo podcast booth in front of the beautiful and mostly pristine Swan River. We used to have a view before that building went up out the back there. This is probably the 5th year that we've done this podcast booth at Westech Fest, and it's always a blast. This episode, we have Dr Genevieve Honan, co-founder of the Volte, which is a fashion rental marketplace, redefining how people access and value designer fashion. The Volte helps people access affordable fashion and also earn income, in some cases a lot of income, from pieces that would probably otherwise be in the back of a cupboard somewhere. Genevieve, welcome to Weird Growth.
Thanks so much. It's really exciting to be here. And yeah, it will be interesting to talk through because our business model's pivoting, which I think is always fun in tech, so we can tell you all about that as
100%. Well. Can't wait to hear about that. Before we do, could you please introduce yourself and how you came to do what you do?
I mean, I think my background's always an interesting game. When people ask, is your doctorate in tech? No, like zero tech background at all. So I did law at uni, so law politics.
Right.
Which is an interesting thing. Then I realised that being a lawyer would make me miserable and I could not do that.
Lucky you realised that early.
Oh, I did 1 year and then was like, absolutely not. Went back to uni and did a PhD. So, that was good. So my PhD is in political psychology of decision making in North Korea. And I did say that studying narcissism has really prepared me for fundraising in startups. It's been a really helpful skill.
Brilliant.
And in amongst that, I also was the Australian synchronised ice skating coach alongside this. So working a lot with teams of people, which I think has been really helpful. And somehow after all of that, I ended up, if you stay long enough at uni, they do start paying you. So then I was a lecturer in sustainability and politics. And I was teaching sustainability, and it was really depressing teaching sustainability in the early sort of mid-2011, 2012. Because you're teaching this and everyone's like, so the house is burning down and we can't do anything. And I'd be like, pretty much yes, this is what's happening. And my sister was working in hedge funds in the US. So she was there during the GFC.
Holy moly.
Lost $500 million in a day. So I think, whenever we are worried about losing money, I'm like, that was a worse day. Like, we are not bottoming out yet. And she did the DD on Rent the Runway.
Right.
And so we probably really came into this because we thought the only way to make sustainability functional was to make it commercially viable.
Yep.
Because we'd go to these conferences and they tell the brands like, fix this, you need to do these 5,000 things, make your pants out of seaweed, and they all cost money, and brands' profit margins had halved since 2000. Like, they don't have any money, so it has to be revenue generating for everyone. And
100%.
That's really kind of where we came, I guess, to begin the Volte. And I think it's probably important to note that the marketplace is actually the smaller part of our business. It's the public-facing part. It's kind of what people know us for, but It's actually not what we probably do. It's like the public bit.
Yep.
So we kind of started with, our uncle is in the Hoodoo Gurus. There's like an old school name drop that only Australian people understand.
Oh my goodness, how cool.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's one of our investors. So but we watched his income really transition from CDs. So in 2000, 90% of his money came from CDs, like physical CDs. And we saw that really transition through to a experience-based economy with streaming. And unlike, for example, you look at social media and magazines, they could probably have ended up with a similar model, but they just were too arrogant. They missed the boat. Music took a while, but it really transformed the way we reward creatives and people who make things. And so we saw that consumer goods, if we're going to make it sustainable, what we need is to really be able to incentivize the producer right through to the end of life. So they're not only invested at point of sale, because up until then, they make all their money. We're like, don't make as much stuff, but they only make money by selling stuff. And so by changing it to a royalty structure, it's really started to transform, the revenue structure of clothing and consumer goods.
So that's that shift that we're seeing where people are paying for an experience rather than to own an item or a device.
Absolutely.
How well has that been embraced by the older generations?
Look, pitching, sharing clothing, dresses to privileged, mostly white men was a really interesting game because most of them thought we were just girls playing with dresses.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, do you like your dresses? I'm like, I don't even, I'm not Like, why did we start the Volte? I'm like, because there was a really poor size range, really poor access, and I'm really cheap and lazy and I don't like shopping. And so convincing them that clothing could be an asset that retains value was something that was really challenging, and that's why we actually built the marketplace first, to prove out that it was a fast turning asset and that we could look for access rather than ownership and try and get it moving quickly in the circular economy.
Got you. I want to get a little bit more into that growth story about how you did actually get traction in the market and create this as a viable business. But first, we have a pop quiz that we ask on Weird Growth.
Okay.
Which is, if you were to start a new, completely separate business or marketplace today, hypothetically, what would it be and why?
I mean, if I could have my time again and I had endless money, because money is really important, I would love to be able to, I guess, start with Seamlist. And I think now we were just a bit early with that part of our business, and I would love to be able to start that story as a separate business. Because I love marketplaces, but they take a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of money to get a marketplace spinning. You know, Uber never made $1, right? You know, and people forget this. Like most of these marketplaces have never
prime the pump
made
somehow.
it. Like, you know, Jeff Bezos made a loss for like decades.
Yep.
And so it just takes a lot of capital.
Yep.
And so I wish we hadn't had to build that, even though I actually really love the marketplace. I think it's doing really interesting work and I really believe in it. It just has taken so much capital and time to get it spinning.
So tell me about Seamless.
So Seamless is our direct integration with retailers. So David Jones is probably the one everyone mostly knows in Australia, where we have an API that you opt into at checkout, which saves it to a digital wardrobe, which means you essentially end up with a digital asset register. And so we're built on the blockchain because, you know, people with clothing, particularly, everyone's like, oh, we're going to weave a fibre in and it's going to be traceable. But like, no one's going to fucking do that. Like, they're just not. It's too expensive. And then you rely on other people. Like, QR codes on a tag is my favourite. Like, oh, that's a digital passport.
Yeah.
But like, if we can fake a Prada bag, we can like definitely pirate a QR code.
A QR code is pretty easy to replicate.
Oh, and like, I have an autistic kid. The first thing I do is cut out the tag. You know, like that. A lot of people cut tags out.
Yeah.
And so for us, we knew that it had to be. We wanted it to be blockchain, so it was public, and it wanted to be based on financial transactions, because that's 95% of the issue.
Yep.
Is if you have financial transactions to back it up and a chain of ownership. It's a bit like provenance in art. That's how we see it.
Gotcha.
So creating a provenance document for everything. So that in the EU, every textile item by the end of 2026 has to have a digital passport.
Okay.
And yeah, so we basically make it so you have a digital asset register, and then when you're ready to resell or rent, you press a button and it pushes it to multiple platforms.
What problem are you solving for David Jones there?
What, sorry?
What problem are you solving for David Jones there? How are you helping?
I mean, to be honest, it's about, instead of people going to Shein and Temu to buy the rip-off, making them realise that you can run an asset, like a cost-neutral wardrobe. So instead of buying the fake Zimmerman, buy the real one.
Yep.
You know, don't buy the pirated version, and rent it 4 times and you'll make your money back.
Amazing.
Right? So it's really incentivizing. For a lot of our retailers, it's about customer acquisition, because particularly Shein and Temu are spending like billions on advertising. Like Shein is like 25% of Meta's revenue.
Wow.
Like, that's how much they're spending on it.
Yeah, right.
And so for a lot of them, it's actually about increasing basket size, customer acquisition, also just data. Like one of our brands, so Alame, who was our pilot partner, they sort of realised, I guess, through the data that all of the rental was happening. Like 70% of the rentals were in Queensland and they had no physical presence there. They were going to open another store in Melbourne, but instead, because they now understand where their customer base is, they've opened a physical store in Brisbane.
We just spoke about how bloody hard marketplaces are to get started, and you've done it, which is incredible, and you wouldn't have maybe got to this point where you can do Seamless without that. So I'd love to hear, you've probably told this story a million times, but I would really love to hear about how you did actually
get the
prime one side of the pump with the Volte originally.
Yeah, look, because it's always that balance of like supply and demand.
Yep.
We've never spent $1 on acquiring supply, because we really saw that as we had to get supply to launch, right? There's no point having a beautiful platform with no fucking dresses.
Yeah.
Which is, to be honest, Rent the Runway's problem is supply. All of those dress marketplaces, because when you narrow by size, location, and date, there was no clothes.
So do they own? Does Rent
They own the
Runway
stock.
owns the stock, whereas you guys provide a platform for others to share their stock?
Yes, so we are looking at, I guess, finding latent supply of stuff that's sitting in cupboards. We're trying to find the stuff that's in cupboards not being worn.
Yep.
And really increase usage. So from a sustainability perspective, that was really important. We wanted to increase the usage of garments.
And so when you say you've never spent $1 on acquiring supply, how do you reach those people who own the products, and how do you convince them that this is a good idea?
I mean, for us, our probably big thing is we are essentially a marketing platform for people who have small businesses in dress hire.
Gotcha.
Right? So
okay.
like there was this whole cottage industry on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we literally would text them, and then I met people in the bottom of buildings and in their shops. We would fly to Brisbane and go meet all the lenders there.
Cool. Okay.
So these little corporate dress hire stores were spending all their money on the clothes.
Yeah,
and then they
right.
had no money to market. And what we do is we give them reach.
Yep.
So they still have their, their online presence in terms of they might have an Instagram page or they might have a website, and they have their network of people they're getting to. What we give them is scalability Australia-wide, so they can lend to people who are outside of their algorithm.
Awesome. So that's the demand side. They're the Uber drivers and the delivery drivers and the Airbnb hosts. The demand side, how do you reach people and go, hey, it's a good idea to borrow this person's dress that they might have lent to 5 other people.
Yeah.
And, you might not get to try it on yet, and you've got to ship it and then you've got to send it back. That sounds tricky. How do you sell that?
We mandate that first, because I'm lazy and I'm not going to the post office to buy express post bags, and I will post it to the wrong place. So we make all our lenders include a pre-addressed return bag.
Okay, gotcha.
We also had a courier that we integrated with before we launched, because in my mind we're like, oh no, couriers would be great, everyone will love that. But it turns out Australians really fucking love Australia Post. It is like a security blanket. We had to turn off the courier because people are like, you mean I just leave it outside? I'm like, it's how a courier works. But we are not good at it here. I think overseas, in London, it's a really different experience. But here, we like the post office. So that's really how we do that one. But in terms of demand, I think a lot of people going into tech and marketplaces think if they build the tech beautifully enough, people will come. And the reality is, it is like paying to have your staff in the shop, the lights on, all your stock, and you're chaining the doors if you don't spend money on marketing. Mm-hmm. Marketing is probably 90% of our cost, right? That is the biggest lever we have, and we have made many mistakes with marketing. We have, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen as well. You've really got to know what you're talking about, because marketing nowadays, I think it's about being data driven. It's not about totally the creative. People sell you banner. I had someone sell us banner ads.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not it. And they can really twist. Early days, they could really twist the data. And when you don't have enough knowledge to know, we wasted a lot of money early. But we eventually got there. But it was slow.
It's tough, 100%, and it's different for every market, different for every product, different for every brand, and there isn't a silver bullet that exists out there necessarily. You've just got to do the work to find out what works for you.
Yeah.
So what does work for you?
We completely broke our marketing funnel last year at one point.
Well done, congrats.
So that was really good. So our ROI is 2, and we just have to turn it off and start again. So we really have rebuilt our funnel this year, and I think we've finally started to understand the levers properly about... we had a bit of a perfect storm last year because we were sorting out some stuff internally and our marketing funnel was broken. Unfortunately, Glam Corner, who was our biggest competitor for demand, so they're a B2C like Rent the Runway.
Yep.
They ran out of money and stopped spending on marketing at the same time. And Designer X, who was our other big competitor, also ran out of money and stopped spending on marketing. So all of a sudden, we're trying to build a new behaviour all by ourselves. And
right.
That was not great.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So your competitors running out of money actually didn't help you?
Oh, it was a disaster.
Wow.
It was a disaster because we're trying to build new behaviour. Dress rental, is still a really new thing for most people.
Yeah, this is a problem solution fit awareness challenge that you're actually getting people to do something new for the first time, like getting in a car with a stranger without paying them cash for the first time. Uber needed to
growing up, if someone said that the safest way to travel would be I'm going to order a car on the internet from a stranger and get in it, and that's the safer choice, I would have laughed, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get axe murdered immediately,
totally.
Surely.
Yeah. We all grew up during Claremont serial killer days, and honestly, I was
sure.
alarming, but now I feel unsafe in taxis far more so than an Uber. So really that behaviour change, you just have to keep reinforcing it, and I think it is getting there. I mean, when we started Dress High, it was also deeply unpopular because everyone wanted to pretend that they owned the Gucci and they owned the dress.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Sustainability was a bit of a dirty word. Like when we say sustainable fashion, people used to think that you were wearing a hemp sack from District 12 in the Hunger Games. Yeah. And so I had a real image problem.
Yep.
And whereas now people are really starting to understand that sustainable fashion, I mean, fashion is always meant to be a joyful expression of who we are. You don't have to wear boring clothes, you know, like, you know, you've got to understand where you sit on that pathway, but it shouldn't be, hemp is not the only way to dress sustainably.
I imagine influencers, Instagram, TikTok is probably your channel at the moment.
Yeah, Instagram is still, do you know what, Facebook's still surprisingly good. We probably operate at a higher price point. So our main customers are millennials.
What, sorry?
Millennials are definitely our main customer, so probably women 25 to 40.
Yeah, cool.
And we probably initially thought it would trend younger, and we kind of have two different people. But for example, people who are B2C, like our average price point's really probably close to $400 to $1,500. So most dresses are worth quite a lot. We had a dress worth 20 grand on the platform.
Whoa.
So we really have gone, like the Volte is high end.
Yep.
And that's been the image we've tried to cultivate because it's about investing in authentic designer clothes, not because of the label, but because we believe that we should support those creatives through to the end of cycle.
Yeah. I love that strategy for especially a new market concept being premium first.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the Uber example, but you know, they started with black cars.
Yeah.
It wasn't the cheap Hyundai i30, it was like a nice
cars.
BMW, yeah. And that's a nice way to take a new concept to the market, because then that creates a bit of an aura as well and a bit of exclusivity, and you're going to make more money as well, but it'll become mainstream faster rather than trying to do it the other way around.
It does, and we really saw, I guess, with the rise, whenever we get successful, it's like, well, when the 20-year-old started wearing the $900 Zimmermans, the 40-year-old doesn't really want to be seen in the same dress. So then Zimmerman, for example, as a brand, they have two price points now. They have $1,500 to $2,000, and they have the sub $1,000, and they really target different markets with those products.
Gotcha. On the lender's side, again, it seems like your top lenders aren't necessarily the people that you would expect. There might be older women as well who have like big wardrobes, and then you've got your small businesses. How did you come across that? Like, how did you discover that? I
mean, we kind of found one of the things we were doing was fostering all these tiny female-led businesses. There'd be side hustles. I mean, our top lenders make $200 to $300 a year on the platform.
$200,000 to $300,000.
I know, and sometimes I'm like, can I have it? Like, because we obviously only take a clip, so marketplaces, the margin's always a problem.
Yeah.
But like, we have some people who it started as a side hustle, and then I think using us as a marketing platform as a leverage point, they've been really able to scale into sizable businesses. So we really try and foster that community of lenders, and it's something we're really looking to invest further in. Peer-to-peer is taking off, but that's always going to be slower. And I think the thing about our corporate lenders is that, you know, when you borrow a dress, it actually has to feel like a premium experience.
Yes.
Right? It needs to feel special for that person.
100%.
And so I think what we have, you know, because people's worries are, what if it doesn't arrive? What if it doesn't fit? And the reality is, because what we've done is diversified supply Australia-wide, it's actually really changed it. We can replace a dress pretty much anywhere in Australia within 2 hours.
Really? How does that work? That's incredible.
Well, I mean, if you think about traditional, you have to have a store or a warehouse, but we have this community of lenders that we can ring. So if, you know, someone in Geelong has a dress that arrives or doesn't arrive, because Australia Post is a bit dicey sometimes, we can ring one of our Geelong lenders and be like, hey, could you Uber a couple of options to this person?
That's so cool. So once you get to scale, you can do that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You co-founded The Volte with your sister and a few other amazing women. Can you talk to what it's like, founding it with a larger group? I mean, traditionally, founders are usually one or two people. You've got a larger group of people, but also you're all in that sort of motherhood age bracket as well, and what that's like trying to run a national, global business and also, you know, being a mum.
Yeah, it's been wild. So we originally founded it with someone else in Perth, and then, circumstances changed and they exited the business, and then we brought on Kelly Hush, who's our other co-founder now from Sydney. So she entered later, but to be honest, we started this when I was on maternity leave. The neurodiversity runs very strong in our family, and we both get really bored, to be honest. So I think I was having my second child and my sister had 2 little kids, and I got on maternity leave and I was so bored I needed to do something. And so we started it then. And so, we've got 6 children between us. So we had,
holy dolly.
My mother said she wanted grandchildren, then she got 6 in 6 years. So,
Careful what you ask for, Grandma.
Yeah, she should be really excited. But it's been great and really hard. So I had to step out of the business for a couple of years when my son was really little, because he is autistic and was nonverbal, so I had to go do therapy. And I think having my sister there to be like, no, you need to go do that, was really incredible. And I think people look at starting it with a family as a risk, but for us it's always been really great because we know how to fight with each other. We are excellent at it. We have had a lot of practice at it. And so we also know how to make up. And I understand where she's we're very different, and I think that's been really advantageous. I would recommend, if you like your sibling, it's been a great experience for us.
It's interesting to say that people look at starting a family as a risk, going off the weird growth kind of theme here a little bit, but I would say it's a risk not having a family.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
How many people get to a certain age and are like, actually, this is the one thing that I didn't get to do.
Yeah.
And I was busy growing a career or growing a business, and never too late, obviously there's always things you can do, but it's like one of the most important things in life you can do, right?
Yeah. And you know what, that's the best bit. Working with my sister, and Kelly, our other co-founder, is like the best bit of it, because I think we're all really aligned. You get to do these incredible things together. Like, being a startup founder is a bit like volunteering to develop bipolar. Our dad's bipolar, so I recognize it, and I'm like,
putting your hand up for it.
It is. We are so shiny on LinkedIn, but I think everyone needs to realize how messy it always is behind the scenes. It is so hard, and to pretend it is otherwise is not true. People say, how did you do it with little kids? I'm like, I got a lot of help. A lot of help.
So important. So we've talked about Seamless, which is super exciting. What could possibly be next for the Volte and for Dr. Jen and the team in the next 5 years?
Obviously we're the next Canva. We keep telling people. They say that, Mel's from Perth with brown hair. Occasionally they mix up our photos because we were also ice skaters. We shared a coach growing up, which we
I didn't know that about Mel. I knew that about you.
Oh yeah, she was an ice skater.
Jeez.
I've said it's not about kite surfing people from Perth. It's about ice skaters, female ice skaters from Perth. I think it's a great pedigree for startup.
How many rinks do we have in Perth?
A lot.
Ice skating rinks?
No, not really.
We've got one, right?
No, we had 2. We had 2.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the Northern Hemisphere folk who have come down for West Tech Fest for kite surfing, we just need to tell them about the amazing ice skating rink, and we might get even more
Absolutely.
Silicon Valley investors to town.
No, this is it. And we've been really lucky. We actually got some great investment from eBay Ventures, who's one of people are like, why are you talking to them? They're going to buy you and mothball you. But they're great. So their venture capital's invested in us, and that's been really helpful. We have separate commercial deals with them. And so we'll be rolling, we have rolled, probably in talks to roll out in the UK, and probably the US is next. And we've also got great, Lars from Google Maps invested last year, and this year. And he's incredible, and his network's amazing. Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about investment and equity and all of that? I know you've got a debate tonight against your sister about equity versus debt.
Yeah, I got the good side, so I'm equity.
Okay.
Because I'm always like, equity is a marriage, and if I go down, you go down. And I think that's always a good way. You really
mutually assured destruction.
You want them in the tent with you, not ringing you when it's bad to say, I want my money back.
Right.
But fundraising is incredibly challenging, particularly for women in what are traditionally perceived as female industries. It's interesting. Everyone knows the stats around women getting VC funding, but if you actually even go deeper and you look at women in female-dominated industries getting funding, it's even lower.
Wow. I mentioned we had the triple bubble guy, and he was involved in Pen Pal early on, and that's their thesis, is actually female founders, and the fact that the ones who do get funded are so disproportionately more likely to be successful, that it's like madness not to invest in women who are doing amazing things. So.
Do you know what is this funny thing where people assume it's getting better, and I would almost say that is not our experience. Like, we have been very lucky with these amazing angel network we've had. Battle Labs, who's a VC here, it did invest in us early. Artesian's Female Founders Fund invested in us, but again, I would say we have not had a great experience with the ecosystem. They just think we're girls playing with dresses, and they're not. I'm like, I don't even really fashion is not my thing. Sustainability and behaviour change is really more what I'm interested in. But it's like they just can't see it. A lot of the time they're like, oh, we just only invest in things we understand. And I'm like, but you wear clothes. Like, you all buy shit.
Yeah,
all of
everyone
you buy
wears clothes.
shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you go dig up the lithium? And they tend not to, but it's just this very narrow view, I think, of what is an investable idea. And so we've been incredibly lucky. We've got validation, I think, from outside. And we have lots of great supporters in the ecosystem, but there still is this really strong perception that the industries women are working in are not scalable. And I think it's a real sort of misconception.
Yep. This is fascinating, Jen. We're running out of time. There's something else I need to ask, which is show and tell.
Ooh.
On Weird Growth. We'd love to hear what founders' little tool or gadget or toy or routine that they have in their lives, which you can't live without and makes your life better every day.
Probably one thing that I do with Kelly and Bernadette, and we've really tried to do it this year, is that we need to enjoy the wins when they happen. And I think founders are all terrible at taking care of themselves. Like, we just are. So, to be honest, we don't have a traditional work structure. I'm like, let's have a meeting at the sauna at the beach so we don't lose our minds. And so, we really try and, I think, evolve our systems and our behaviour to try and support that.
Love it.
And we get to go do incredible things and meet really incredible people. And there's also really hard things. And so just taking a moment to really celebrate the wins is excellent. I mean, my other favourite tool, if we're talking about tools, I love Ahrefs to sense check the bullshit radar of people.
Nice.
Be like, oh no, we've raised it 10 million on 100 million. I'm like, you have no traffic. That's just not true.
Yes.
And it's such an easy sense check.
Genius.
To really understand, if you don't have, if the numbers don't add up, they're probably not true.
Yep.
And I think that that's a really important thing to be able to do.
So for those listening, Ahrefs basically is a website traffic calculator, or not calculator, you can see tool, basically. Yeah.
You can compare yourself to your competitors. So, sometimes when people have tried to drive down a valuation or compare us to someone, and then I've been able to look, I'm like, well, that doesn't add up. You need to either justify why they're worth more in another way, or what someone's lying.
Yep.
Because it's incredible what people don't sense check.
Very good. Love that. We'll put that in the show notes. Jen, if you had a piece of advice for a founder just starting out today, maybe in the marketplace space, what would you say to them?
I would say, look, one of the big problems we have in Australia is that our valuations are completely different to the US, wildly different. Particularly with marketplaces, it's a very controversial metric to value, and everyone has their own little way they do it.
We do have 10% of the population of America.
It's wild, right? It's so interesting to see the difference in that valuation. And one thing I didn't realise early on is if you go too low, you actually screw yourself later. So you make yourself uninvestable. So I would be really careful about the terms and the valuation at which you raise. Terms are always more important than value, because value is imaginary. You're worth what someone will pay for you.
Yep.
And if you go to the US and try and raise, they'll laugh you out of the room with the valuations that sometimes we've been given here. So we have to almost triple our valuation to go raise in the US.
Wow, okay.
And that the equity split becomes really tricky. So if I was going early, I'd be incredibly careful about being talked down in valuation. Because I think Australians have this tall poppy thing where we oh no, but you're not worth that.
Yes.
And we know, for example, one of our competitors who just does a marketplace, just in New York, they only do rental, and they have a sixth of our traffic, and they've raised on 100 million.
Amazing.
And I think people are like, oh my gosh, they're overvalued. But the reality is that doesn't matter. It's an imaginary number. And what's more important is retaining equity and making sure you have choices later on. I mean, also R&D is like great. And I think being inventive about what is research and development in terms of the grants, the Australian government, that's a really great thing they do. I think people who are not in hard tech or deep tech don't think they qualify, but what we're doing is research. It is research and development. We've done a lot of work in that space, and in terms of leveraging non-dilutive capital, that was a really good way to do it.
Get a good R&D advisor / lawyer.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Fantastic chat. It's been so fun having you. Where can people find out more about the Vault, and if they want to get involved, if they've got a wardrobe full of cool old dresses that they want to hire out?
Look, they can sign up to be a lender tomorrow. Anyone can be a lender. And so you can jump onto the Vault, which is just thevolte.com, VOLTE. If you want to know more about Seamless, because it's a really interesting integration that'll be hard launching next year.
Exciting.
And so thinking about, that digital asset register, and we start treating our clothing not as disposable. It's a really new behaviour that we throw clothing away.
Yeah.
And so we just want to encourage people to realise that saving and looking at your assets as broader than just your house and your car is a really important thing. If we told you tomorrow if you bought your house it was worthless, then we wouldn't do it. So the fact that you have all these assets and latent assets sitting in your wardrobe that you should be leveraging, particularly in this economy, I think is a real, it's an opportunity for a lot of people.
Wonderfully said. And congratulations on everything you've done, and all the very best for everything you are yet to do. Genevieve Honan, it's been wonderful having you on the Weird Growth podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for listening, and apologies for the background noise. We are recording live in front of a large group of people who are getting coffee and milling around, and there's people on silent disco headphones out there listening in as well. Thank you for listening to this episode of Weird Growth with Jen from The Vault. I'm Cam Sinclair from Ammo Marketing. Bye-bye.